fantastic futuristic glass building, glass steel structure of design that would impress people like Mussolini, the former fascist leader of Italy. I stand here outside The Guardian, Britain's leading liberal online and in-print newspaper. Many decades ago, in fact, a few centuries ago, Hinduphobia was mentioned in the British newspapers back as far as 1883. What does The Guardian, as the liberal mouthpiece, the dominant liberal voice, think about Hinduphobia? Sad to say, it's actually the leading light in propagating it. Fortunately, this large building holds very small, narrow minds. Their view on Hindus is, to say the least, rather negative, and that's putting it very generously. Inside this building, Hindu views are about as welcome as kosher products and jazz music was amongst the Nazi mouthpiece disgust by Julius Streicher, the Nazi propagandist. Now, am I being alarmist in mentioning this? Surely, being a liberal mouthpiece, all views should be welcome. It should propagate a tolerant and broad-minded society, but that isn't what happens. In this building itself, hatred of the most vitriolic and warped type is being pumped out on a daily basis. Now, do a search for anything Hindu in The Guardian, you'll get a plethora of articles and opinions of epic proportions, all Hinduphobic, all propagating the same sort of line. Again, Hindu views are not welcome. Now, in its defence, I'm sure The Guardian will say, well, they're Hindu writers. Yes, they've got Indian names, Hindu-sounding names. So how could they possibly be anti-Hindu? The whole idea may seem ludicrous. Well, it's not, is it? When General Dar committed the Amritsar massacre, he used Indian troops to find two other Indian civilians. The same thing with South Africa, enforcing apartheid with white officers were commanding black police and black soldiers with the help of leaders of black homelands. The French in Algeria had Harkis, that's Algerian soldiers used in the service of the French army. Portugal held on to the colonial empire in Angola and Mozambique with an army full of local recruits. So this is a ludicrous defence and actually quite cheap. In this context, it is highly surprising that The Guardian will employ Nazi Der Stürmer style cartoons regarding Home Minister Priti Patel, portrayed as a cow. Some say a bull, but why use that association? Why put the cartoon that level? What is it trying to put across the British public? In this context, as I mentioned, using the analogy of Der Stürmer by Julius Streicher is not at all extreme or alarmist. In fact, it's very accurate. The same futurism that led to this lovely architecture you see behind us, the same futurism led to the avant-garde bohemian clique, the elite that sit latte while disconnected from the rest of the country, is the same type of ideas led to fascism. And again, it's pumped out from here. And don't even think of complaining. Your puny response will be ignored. In this Kafkaesque nightmare, this place is like the Ministry of Truth out of George Orwell's 1984. And in fact, any complaint is treated in Orwellian fashion. Since Hindu human rights complained about The Guardian's total onslaught against anything Hindu, it's actually increased. They've never met with us. They've never responded. They've never addressed the issue. They've actually made the matter worse. This should give an indication of the ideology that is pumped out from within the walls of this institution we see behind us. So do not in any way be fooled by its liberal gloss, its cuddly image, its so-called broad-mindedness. For Hindus, this is nothing but fascism for the 21st century. And if you don't believe me, search yourself, try and complain, see how far you get.